Welcome back to Great Lakes Junction, everyone. Video today on making biochar. First, what biochar can be used for. We have some very tough clay soil in our garden here. So this biochar is going to help add nutrients to the soil, but it's also going to help to break up or loosen up some of the tough clay soil that we have. So I've seen videos of other people making biochar, and they've got, fair-sized pieces of property, large fire pits. We're in an urban setting here, so depending on your county or municipal bylaws about having fires, you may have to consider that. You also may want to consider how close proximity your neighbors and stuff are. So if it's a bit breezy and you might have smoke blowing their way that they may not appreciate. So you got to think about these things. So again, we're in an urban setting with just a normal small backyard fire pit here, and we're taking wood that we previously used around those beds just to kind of separate the grass from the soil. We have plans on enlarging that bed this year, and we're not going to have a border around it anymore. So a lot of the boards, there's a pile that we've pulled out here, and the ends of them from being in the soil, the ends of them are starting to rot down and stuff, so it's time to replace them. But in this case, as I said, we're not going to do that again, so we're going to burn this stuff up. We've got some scraps from woodworking projects over the winter from the garage, so we've been burning that up. So we're turning it all into biochar, and we've got some in our wheelbarrow here. So we've stopped at the point before it burns itself right down to an ash. So we'll burn a bunch of material down, move any large chunks out of the way, shovel out what is the charcoal, spray it down with water to stop it from continuing to burn, and then relight the fire and continue on. We'll bring you back when we're ready to clean this fire pit out. Okay, I think we've got a fair bit of coals down in the bottom again, which is what we want. We don't want ash, we want the charcoal bits. So we'll take out what's still burning, set it aside, and we'll shovel out the charcoal that we want. So we want to stop the burning process, because if any of those are hot and still burning, it's just going to turn to a pile of ash overnight. So we're trying to cool it down, stopping the burning. Still a lot of steam coming off. There's still heat in there yet. We'll let it sit for a few minutes, and if we have to, we'll stir it up and spray it some more. So now we got to get this fire started back up again, because we've pretty much emptied all of the good hot coals out of the fire pit. And then that pile of lumber or wood that we took out from around the garden, we've still got, that's a lot of wet material there, so we'll start spreading that out around the ring of the fire so it can start to dry out, and we'll just, as it dries out, we'll just keep kicking it in there and burning it down. Well, I think we had the fire extinguished in that. I don't see any smoke coming out of the pile that I dumped. I left a little bit in the bottom of this wheelbarrow. It's old and broke up. It has lots of holes for the water to drain out, which is great, but it's fiberglass. It's not metal. So I don't want to just dump hot coals right in the bottom of this thing and start melting the wheelbarrow. So I've left a few in there, just a layer that I can put the hot coals in on top of and start this process again. And again, this is the reason I'm doing this video, is to show you that you can do this in an urban setting. We have a fair-sized yard here compared to what some residences may have. but we still have neighbors that are close by, and we have to be wary of how much smoke we're creating. It's a fairly nice day. They may want to have their windows open and get fresh air. I understand that. It's springtime is coming. So we're trying to keep that in mind while we're doing this. You know, and one of the things we stand for on this channel, making use of everything we can, not just throwing stuff out if there's another purpose for it. And in this case, we've got some leftover wood from projects, wood from around that garden that's starting to rot. So we'll burn it down and we'll repurpose it this way. Anything we can do to help ourselves out. I think we have another good batch of coals cooked up there. So we just pulled out a few pieces that weren't charcoal yet. And we'll get rid of the rest. I will say though that you want, depending on how much biochar you need, you want an abundance of wood available, and depending on the wood you're burning, in my case I know it's quite wet, so you need a lot of dry wood also. Looks like there's also a fire burning in my wheelbarrow, so I need to go get some water sprayed on that before it starts melting my wheelbarrow. Okay, we have the fire put out in our wheelbarrow now. We did melt the sides a little bit. If you have any dry pine branches or cedar branches, the resin in them is highly flammable. And if they're dry, they'll really kick up the flames and the heat and get your fire going. So even though our fire is going not too bad right now, I'll throw one on that's dry and you'll see just how much, but I'm going to back the camera up. It's just a small branch, but it really expands the fire. So you can see just how flammable that resin is that's in those pine branches. It's no wonder a forest fire spreads so fast. Although it does take some time, what difference does that make? I mean, who doesn't enjoy sitting around having a fire when it's a nice sunny day? You're burning the wood anyhow, so spend a little bit of extra time, scoop out some charcoal once in a while and get your fire going again, and away you go. I had nothing better to do today, so this is a great way to spend my day. It's going to help out our garden and get rid of a bunch of stuff that otherwise I would have had to have taken to a landfill. We're starting to lose daylight here. We got to speed things up. Well, it's the next morning out here now, so it got too dark to finish this off to be able to show you anything last night. So our fire pit's all cleaned out. And there's what we made out of it yesterday. So we got 3 good wheelbarrow loads of this. So just to show you that even in an urban setting, there are some things you can do to help yourself out. Get a garden going if you can. I just come back from the grocery store today and was shocked at some of the prices that I see, how much stuff is going up. So it's definitely going to be a worthwhile project to enlarge this garden this year and grow more of our own stuff. And whatever we can do to amend this soil like this is certainly going to help us out in the long run. So give things a try where you live and, see if you can start to save some money from growing your own vegetables. So I know I said we had 6 or 8 weeks before we had to worry about doing too much with this garden. We've moved that way up. It's only been 2 weeks now since we made that charcoal. And I've picked up all of the remaining pieces of wood that were in the garden. I've picked up all the cardboard. You can see the different color in the grass where it was starting to kill it off. We got 3 wheelbarrow loads of charcoal. I'm going to move it onto this tarp, and I'm going to go get 3 wheelbarrow loads of compost between the wooden compost bin back there and the black one. And we're going to mix that in with our charcoal. There's a couple of ways you need to charge. Well, you don't need to, but you should charge this charcoal up for it to become actual biochar. And there's several different ways you can do it. You can find them on the internet. The simplest is to mix it 50-50 with some good compost that you have. Let it sit for a couple of weeks. Keep it watered or make sure it stays wet. And let the charcoal absorb some of the nutrients and stuff into it. Otherwise, it's going to rob the nutrients out of the soil if you just put it in by itself. And you don't want that to happen. I think that gives us a good mix. Now all I got to do is shovel it back up and find a spot to put it. We ordered 3 yards of mushroom compost and 3 yards of a triple mix soil. It's not scheduled to come for at least another 4 weeks. We do have an open date that if the weather turns dry and nice before then, we can certainly get it earlier. Next time we come back, we should have this leveled out. Hopefully we'll have our biochar spread, and we'll just be waiting for our new soil to arrive. It's been 2.5 weeks now since we first started this on a nice mild sunny day. And as you can see, the weather's not cooperating. The garden's completely covered in snow, and it's still coming down. But you've seen the basis of what this video was for, was making that biochar, and you've already seen that. So the only other thing I had left to do was to spread it out. So we'll wrap this up here. Thank you very much for watching.